Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Angie, this is New Path Tarot. Just to get it out of the way, I'm layered here with Archangel outside of the Bardo, which means that when in his office, he doesn't perceive things that are within the Bardo. Even though he is within the Bardo, we all are. Meaning the Bardo system. So I'm using it generally as opposed to the layering of particulars. But anyways, he's got the master screen of the computer programming. And so I won't even say the master screen, but more than all of the lower levels have. So, you know, we're not the lowest level actually. Isn't that crazy? So, Skull, Death, card 24. This is apparently a topic that we're going to be talking about today. Skulls and teeth and bones and stuff like that. Remember, the Astral reads things backwards. So, what happened at 42? What happened at 24 may not apply to you. Sometimes they'll stack people's ages so that it can be a common theme amongst people. Like, everybody this happened to approx age 12. Everybody this happened to approx age, you know, whatever. So we don't want to get hung up on pedantics because we do want to keep things very collective. But if we happen to use very specific things but key details are off, do consider some things may be fate and are fixed. Other things may be fate and can be potentially not fixed time-wise. So it's like it's gonna happen, it's just a matter of when, not if. Other things are fixed on certain Bardos and not on others. There's that. And there's a whole plethora of other things as well. It's not, I feel, important to sit here and do that part as in, sorry, I do realize I'm being annoying right now. Give me a second. We got an extension for our noon deadline today until 2, so, and give me a minute because I am channeling. Let's go to this one. Okay, the Chariot. Determination, willpower, control. Why does the word control have a negative connotation to it in most cases? Is because most people can't handle having control. So that's why. King of Needles reversed. Unpredictable, aimless, impulsive. You know, a lot of people look at the Knight, did I say King? I don't know, whatever. Knight of Needles. Anyways, a lot of people look at the Knight of Swords and think negative about it because of the rushed nature. No, sometimes you need to fucking be in a rush. But when it's reversed, it's showing the negative attributes. So remember that, Angie. Unless you get guided to say otherwise, why don't we start looking at the Knight of Swords as a positive card? Always. It means haste makes waste. It means hurry the fuck up. Star. Renewal. Faith. Hope. Two of Cups is reversed. Disharmony. Distrust. Tension. Okay, and whatever the next one is, I don't want to look at it because I don't want to get caught up in that. I need to talk to you guys about her dream that she woke up from. Serpent, healing is reversed. Card 15. Why is healing reversed? Because priorities. Because death and healing are in contrast, are they not? Can have one without the other. Rather, you cannot have one and the other, actually. Or even is it you can't have one without the other? You can't have true healing without a sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? The answer to that should be everything. What does that mean, though? things that you're not even aware of. So yeah, let's get some shit straight. The dream was, when you recall a dream and you're guided to speak of it like this, whatever comes to you first. Angie's old house that she lived in when she was in foster care at the age of 12. This is the time of her life in which she knew somebody named Chris who lived down the street from her. They rode on the same bus and they went to the same school, except he was in 8th grade and she was in 7th. He was born in 1981. She was born in, I mean, yeah, I don't know why that tripped me up for a second. I was like, that math ain't math. No, it definitely is mathing. Anyway, she was born in 1982. Angie lived in a foster home that had a mixture of different people, you know, kids that lived there. One of them was a 13-year-old named Kim. And she was also in the system, and she was in 8th grade. It was meant to be a girls' home for teens. Down the street, but kind of far, was a boys' home for teens. But that home actually had a lot of boys. Like, it was all teen boys. Teen meaning, you know, minors that are in the foster care system and are considered longer term. Now, they lived out in the sticks. This is, you know, the high school was New London High School. So, and middle and elementary were all in one building. That should tell you something. I mean, high school and middle school were literally in the same hallways and stuff. So, and so out in the sticks they were. And though Angie's foster home was intended on that, they will place people where they need to be, you know, if there's not enough room or whatever, and they're just gonna only wait for the niche of who is intended. So what happened was, they also had a young boy who had cerebral palsy. They had a young boy who was deaf. A young girl who was considered, let's just say for ease of words, normal, but sister to the brother that had hearing impairment. And mental restrictions as well. We word things differently than you guys, and we are definitely not PC. So I'm trying to be cognizant of that, but also not get hung up on how do humans word things. I forget the terminology they use on this Bardo, mind you. How am I going to keep it straight universally? If certain Bardos are allowed to say things and it's not considered cancel culture, and other Bardos are not allowed to say those things, but they have different terminology entirely. Think about that for a second. So anyways, universal words, you guys. So then we have another one who was did I already say the one who had cerebral palsy? I'm not sure if I did, but that's not who I was thinking of. Another one who his mother was on substances at the time of his pregnancy and delivery, so he had issues as well. And we'll just say substances generally, but anyways, now that was what Angie was exposed to. So imagine you're a 12-year-old and you have a upbringing of which you've had. We'll just skip all that mess. Skip right to 12. She goes to this foster home where Kim lives. And Kim leaves within about a week of Angie being there for reasons. Transfer approved, if you will. We worked with it. It wasn't the original plan, but Angie going to that foster home was actually meant to be. As in, I take that back, it wasn't meant to be. We worked with it and we made it work. As in, we found this dude named Chris. We found him. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, Angie is here. Who is here that we can potentially, I don't know, something. So what we do is, God, we suck at life when we're channeling. Really, we do. So Angie met this dude, Chris, and they had a connection. I'll just leave it very vague. She also met a few other people while she lived there that she had connections with as well. One dude from church, another dude from church, but later, you know, that was staggered for reasons. Because it's like, if we see certain things don't work with a certain individual, then we'll be like, okay, who else is there? And I kind of hate to say it like that. It's like, she's not settling, we are. Highest bidder isn't playing ball, so who else we got? Because what do we need, you guys? You need, let's just say, motivation. You need somebody or something that encourages you to something. This is the karma of you guys. So in Angie's case, she was motivated by soulmates and interpersonal relationships, because soulmates isn't gender specific in that it doesn't necessarily mean romantic. So she had a foster sister come in named Erin, who they were really, really close, and they would do like role play stuff with acting out Disney character stuff. Like they would watch the Disney cartoon, but then they would like take it to a whole nother level, like on the spot coming up with additional scripts and stuff, where one of them would play one role and the other one would play another role, and they would record it on cassette tapes, and it was a whole thing. So if I'm guided to tell you these bits and pieces based on just one part of the dream, there's reasons. And I'm leaving a whole bunch out. I could talk about this part of Angie's life for a long, long, long time. Lots of it were irrelevant, actually. But let's just move forward, because we got a lot to say between now and our noon deadline, which is not in 20 minutes, luckily, but 2 o'clock. So 2 hours, 20 minutes. Let's do this. So in the dream, Angie was in this home, which in the dream was not her home. I don't remember. This is fuzzy now as time has gone on and I've been trailing on and on. In that, I think it was maybe a business place, or rather more like, not business per se, like a restaurant, perhaps, okay? And there was a lot of noise in that was like low enough that she didn't hear the door. It was knocking. 2 women police officers at the door. They were very, very upset and rude. She opens the door and they're like, "Why didn't you answer the door?" And she's like, "I didn't hear it." And she's like, she meaning the female officer who was talking, pointed at a sign on the wall that said something like "no trespassing," something like that, but pointed to it saying "open for business" is what it was implying it said. And she said, "It says you're open for business, so why didn't you open the door on time?" And she's like, "Oh, you think I could have heard that? Okay, let's go all the way down where I was, and you tell me if you could hear 2 officers banging very loudly at the door." Now, they had somebody with them that would normally have just come in the house, but the door was locked. And it implied that the door wouldn't normally be locked, but that's not really relevant regarding what I'm supposed to tell you guys. It was just a little nuanced detail that it wasn't just 2 police officers, in that they had somebody with them that was a young girl. And this young girl lived there and came right in. So they didn't pay that any mind. There was like a radio station playing music. There was people talking and stuff. Dark, lit, long corridor, lots of rooms. So this was not Angie's house that she grew up in, but it was gridded or templated, is some words we use interchangeably depending on the context. Energetically made to feel like. Superimposed. Looks like ish. Feels like death. But why did it say something like, it might have said even no loitering, you know, but look, it says right here, you're open. This is supposed to be a business. Why would you have your door locked during business hours, is the vibe. Okay. Anyways, they calmed down when they thought, okay, what you just said is true. There's no way. So the one officer says to the other, there's no way I could have heard it from all the way down the hallway. She's right. Okay. So there's that. Why is this all irrelevant? This part of it, I don't know. But they needed to search the premises. They ended up not finding anything and they left. Now, secondly, later part of the dream was Angie was at a restaurant, which may have been the same location. She was waiting for, I think, Tiffy to show up. And it was like assumed he was showing up for some reason. Like 90%, let's just say. And not waiting like boring waiting, like but keeping busy waiting. And instead of him showing up, other people who knew him showed up. And they came bringing presents. It's funny sounding. That were like, they had a vibe of baby shower feeling, but they weren't intended to. So more like birthday, but like, it was like stuff that wouldn't be for her. It would be like for a young girl or something instead of her. And so these are people who knew her or knew him. She didn't want to be all like, so where's he at? Is he coming? You know, whatever. Awkward and stuff. So what happened? So she was out in this part of like, or rather she stayed and played that out, and I'm gonna skip details of it. And then some of these people were people that she had known in the military, but yet in the dream, even though they looked familiar to her, sometimes we will use people who are familiar to you playing a different role and you don't suspect it. The importance is that they're a familiar energy to you, so you don't question who is that person. Like you know who the person is, but you know that that part wasn't relative to the dream, right? Okay, so now, at least not as I'm being prompted to say, just that tidbit. And as you know how it works, could have been that it was so that I would say that. All right, so now she's in a lobby area of this restaurant, and she's waiting on a gift from said individual. Somebody from inside brings her a handbag, like a gift bag. And in between that scene is important to note that in that same exact location, this lobby of this restaurant, it was like a salon and people were getting their hair cut, and a scene played out. And then Angie opened this, and it resumed to be back to the restaurant lobby. So then, even though I had said it was a gift bag, she opened it like it was a box, like a little box that you'd get in the mail for like some kind of subscription of shit, probably. Anyways, opens it up, and in it are a couple things. Now, the presents that everybody else gave were significantly better, as in, you know, more value objects or whatever, items. This had things that were like not valuable in other people's eyes, but yet this individual made this gift for her in a way that everybody in the group received the same exact gift of these low quality items. Like, I don't even know how to explain what these items were. They were just so freaking like stuff you would just throw away. There was nothing in there that seemed to be like it was significant or important or whatever. One of the things is, like, as she's like going through it and looking at the stuff in this little box, is that she's thinking, so wait, everybody, like, he got everybody this? Like, this is the same thing he got for everybody? Oh, okay. Weird. I was expecting like a personalized or a customized gift. You know, something thoughtful, something creative, something with maybe hidden messages in it or something. Not this, which is like, he literally gave the same thing to everybody, and it's all just like filler stuff, basically. So then a waitress comes out from their table, because she's like, oh man, if I would have just stayed, he would have been there. Like, I would have seen it, we would have talked. But she had left too early because she figured, okay, all these people showed up that know him and he ain't here, so I'm gonna leave. Well, she brings out this glass soda bottle, like you'd see the Mexican Cokes, but it was a Mexican Crush, you know, the orange soda, and there was that much left in it. And she brought it out and she said, he wants you to drink this. And it had a cigarette butt in the box. There was a cigarette butt in there, and this lady took out the cigarette butt and put it in the bottle and swirled it around, and then she took like a wad of tobacco. I don't even know what that means. It was like the Nicorette gum or something like that, and put it in there and swirled it around. She said, here, he wants you to drink this. She's like, I'm not fucking drinking that. Ew, it's disgusting. She's like, no, you have to. And she's like, no, I'm not drinking that. And then she goes in and tells him, you know, she's not going to drink it. And she comes back out and she said, he says, if you don't drink it, he's going to contact his lawyer, and his lawyer is going to sue you for not drinking this. Read the fine print. It says you have to do this. And she's like, oh, really? Because I distinctly remember that it doesn't say nowhere in there that I need to do any such thing. In fact, you tell me what lawyer would advise anybody to ingest nicotine, knowing full and well that it could be, because it was assumed that in the dream it was like a raw chunk of nicotine, in which it was like Nicorette gum, but it wasn't. It was more like you know, a chunk of raw nicotine, and that it would cause problems. Hell, she could die, you know, especially because she doesn't have any kind of tolerance for nicotine. She's not a smoker or anything. So she's like, he's literally trying to kill me. No, I refuse to ingest a substance that's literally trying to kill me. So anyways, they were adamant about it, and they were like, it's like when they went and talked to him, he was a jerk about it, as in, well, tell her I'm gonna fucking do this. And so then they went from being like passive to being like, he said, you know, you need it. Oh, really? Really? Have you read it? No, you have not, have you? So you're sitting here being rude to me. You don't even know me, do you? You know nothing about me. You're being rude to me. And assuming a lot of things, but you haven't read it yourself. And I'm going to tell you right now, nowhere in there says that I need to ingest a substance that is likely fatal, you know, 99% likely fatal for me to ingest it. So you're saying I should drink that. And then she's just like, she's like, exactly, I'm out. Well, if he's capable of that, what else is he capable of? So she goes out to her vehicle, which in the dream, she was actually borrowing from him. And that's, in hindsight, why she was waiting for him to show up, is because he was going to be picking up the vehicle back from her, who had borrowed it. And it was some sort of like SUV type vehicle. And what happened? This was earlier before all the people showed up, so I'm a little out of order. I forgot that detail though. Or whether it didn't come up, you know, it was like blocked or not relevant yet. So then she goes out to the vehicle and she's like, you know what I need to do is check it. Since he showed up and I didn't know, sidestepped me from the lobby, I'm gonna go. And there was something about one of the fluid reservoirs that she was kind of concerned about it being maybe empty, and if she drives on that it could cause a problem with the car. So she's like, I'm just gonna leave the parking spot and go to another parking spot so I'm not right where I was. Goes to another spot, checks the fluids, says, you know, maybe it needs to be dumped out and replaced. So I'm going to do that. Now at this time it was night, and the store that was right there that could have had this stuff was closed. She's like, I'm going to go to something that's open. Oh, I'll go right over there. That's open. So she goes over there, and somewhere in there has things happen that are fuzzy in recollection, comes back to the restaurant, goes back inside, in the lobby still. That scene with the salon or whatever is playing out again. And now she has a chance to change it and do something different. And so she was told, now that you know that it played out in a way that didn't work for you, do it again differently. Well, she didn't acknowledge that she heard this. So what she did was took that under advisement and started to play it out the same, to which the person who had told her, don't do it the same way. My cat, by the way, is in the neighbor's yard where there is a dog that resides there, and she is playing with fire. I know it's Coco, so she'd be fine, but I'm telling you that she shouldn't be in their fucking fenced in yard. How the fuck did she get in there? It's not like impossible for her considering the type of yard that it is, or gate fence that it is, but whatever. Anyways, hey Coco. She's stalking a bird, that's why. So anyways, distracted. This is why I should have probably done it indoors, huh? Oh well. So Angie's all like playing out the dream scene that is staged in the lobby of this restaurant exactly the same initially. Person who had told her that is looking at her like, I thought I told you, don't do it the same way. Like, you got a chance to redo it. Why would you do it the same? And she's like, I got this. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm starting it the same, but I know what to change, when to change it. So she did that. And then she leaves again from the restaurant. This time she leaves with, who did she leave with? She left with Brandon. I don't know how and why and what transpired to make that happen. But it might have been assumed that they were in a relationship together, but it was just, you know, amicable or whatever. And then she sees Tiffy walking in with another guy who was Asian of some sort. And in the dream, Angie didn't recognize him, but he had been in the dream earlier, so she recognized him from one of the people who had come to the house. And he came to the house with a woman that he was in a partnership with, and they were one of the people that had brought a gift. And so now that this redo had happened, things were kind of in a different order or whatever, and it was as if that whole bringing the gift out and all that sequence of stuff hadn't happened. And though the gift that had been brought out in the first take was really weird and random, and why was there a cigarette butt in there and stuff, and because I had forgotten to say, like, of all the things that were in there, there was like tissue paper and a cigarette butt and like other stuff, you know. So, but for the lady to come out with that and then say, you know, like put it in there, swirl around and say, here, drink this, weird, right? as if it was thoughtful or something, or not thoughtful per se, but like a dig thoughtful. And so then, but made to seem like this is for everybody, like everybody gets it equally. And there's a assumption that every single month they do this gift exchange thing, and it's sent out like a subscription that they all receive. And this is linking to the parallel life of 38, in which their air subscription stuff comes as a once a month delivery of your fragrance of the month of air you breathe and your replacement tank and all that. And it's made to seem like a luxury subscription thing and whatever. And they marketed it prior to the air quality going bad, and then were pivotal in letting the shit go to waste or go bad, because they would profit from that once it happened in the future. So in other words, kind of creating the monster, if you will. So what a great startup, you guys. Perfect. Get, investors and partner with friends who are into that, and always trying to find like, oh man, we should open a business doing this, we should, and it's just like, yeah, that's a great idea, let's do that. And then I got an idea, let's go ahead and figure out ways to actually hurry it up so we can see the fruits of our labor in our lifetime. Yeah, that's perfect. So then this is where I must say, sometimes you guys are going to be having dream messages for parallels in which, are not necessarily the same as 2025 as we are now, V2. So past these two individuals going in as they were leaving, go back to the car, redo scene, but this time something changes regarding the reservoir fluid and whatever not. And then just skip that, not important right now at least. Then at a library, indoor library, but being told, like, there was a lady wearing a full-on costume, and Angie was like, how, like, analytically thinking, how do you breathe in that while you are wearing that? Because it was completely concealing the lady's face. And so air and breathing, definitely a topic today. Also, then was said something like, hey, do you see the UFO? And she goes, that's not a UFO, that's a cloud. She goes onto the roof of the library, and she goes up to it, and it is a cloud that looks like a UFO. And she touches it, and it has density to it. So it was like, she was like, and she's like, sure enough, it does look like a cloud, but it is a UFO. But here's something really random. It's cake, meaning she was able to take it off, and it was cake. That's funny. So anyways, then, hello kitty. What happened after that? Not only was there this UFO, but they were like in a line of, and it looked really cool. So Angie started recording it with her phone. For some reason, couldn't get the lighting and the angles right. So, whatever, trying to figure that mess out. And there was a figure of a cloud alien sitting on a, I would say throne, but that's too exaggerated. But I would say chair, but that's too underestimated. So it's like somewhere in like a throne chair, And so then what happened was, Angie goes up to it, and it was smiling, kind of like a Buddha. Imagine having an alien Buddha on your planet. If you came from another planet and saw the Buddha sculpture, would you look at it? We're not talking about Happy Buddha from China. We're talking about like the Thai Buddha. Would you look at it and be intimidated by that, thinking, is this who rules your world? And that, by the way, think about that. The purpose of sculptures is to intimidate and keep away, like gargoyles, right? Intimidate and keep away perceived threats by appearing scary and bigger. Now, though we all understand, you know, just like think about Jesus on a cross. You guys see that? You'd be like, ooh, if this is what they do to people, I really don't think that we want to be here, you know? So, it's definitely a memory of, do not get out of line or we will do this to you as well. I don't think he liked it, and I don't think you will either. So you better comply, or else you will die. And that, my friends, is who controls you. So, speaking of control, you are a planet, you are a Bardo that you were ruled from within by your own design. You were given reign to rule, but yet, what have you done with it? And what have we seen you do it on all these variants? And so, why did we have to divine intervene in a way that was sneaky and not overt? Because the more direct intervention you guys have, the more you are expected to live up to that knowledge of, I am fully fucking aware that this is divine. This is proof to me of the divine in some sort of way. Having that knowledge now makes you liable by the invisible fine print. You want to talk about alien language? It's an energy. Now you tell me what this document says. What legal representative would insist that you must drink a beverage that will kill you? Will, kill you. And that you should willingly do it without at least resisting verbally. It's not like they were going to tie her down and make her do it, or were they? I don't know. But she was like now questioning everything. Like, well, are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? I don't know what they're capable of now. Now I'm paranoid. Now I am on edge. And, okay, if this is a subscription that all the friends do for each other every month, that means that I wasn't special to have everybody drop by and bring gifts. They do this every month. I just didn't know that part of it. I thought it was just for me. No, everybody, oh, okay. Why is he putting together such crappy of a gift for everybody? And it's pushed off as like a joke. Like, his gifts are always shitty. He doesn't put any thought in them. He doesn't care. Like, it's a joke in that this variant of him, variant 38, is like that. And it caught Angie off guard because she's like, I know my guide, and my guide wouldn't be like that. It's the chicken or the egg, who raised who, if you will. But not really, because though Angie was born with amnesia, she wasn't. She just was born without memory. See, there's a difference. To be born with amnesia, without memory. See, Guide kept his memory, whereas Angie did not. That's the default, what happens. So, okay. Anything else that I need to say? Okay, so she couldn't get proof of the cloud UFOs or the little dude that was probably about this big floating next to, and then by the time she got in position that it would be a better angle, it was dissipated and there were barely any traces of them being left anymore. And therefore no proofies and whatever. So, there's that. What else? What else? Knight of Cups reversed, heartbreaker, jealousy, moods. What does somebody who has jealousy as a prominent trait or emotion or whatever you call it, who is moody, overextended, workaholic, beyond means, 9 of Pentacles reversed, overextended, workaholic, beyond means. The harder you work, the harder you fall when you get your burnout. All right, reconciliation, resentment, compromise. You can reconcile with somebody but still have resentment, can you not? Compromise, a good compromise, everybody feels like they got screwed. But yet, what if that's not the case? What if you are manipulated into thinking you got a shit end of the stick, but really what happened was you got manipulated into thinking so. But really, you got royally screwed. Meaning, the other person is saying, look, here's an example. By the way, this is 5 of Swords reversed. 5 of Needles. Can you fucking fuck off, please? Thank you. Like, for real. I will tell my daughter, if she's going to share something with her brother, you cut it, and he gets to pick which half he wants. So, because she's older and knows how to manipulate life, and yet you're still there. She will use that to her advantage in multiple ways. She's very manipulative like that. And of course, you know, not only that, she's older and whatever, so she knows things more, but it doesn't matter to me as long as he doesn't fucking scream about the fact that she got a bigger piece or whatever, and or her to be blatantly, overtly unfair, taking advantage of him, which he will do as well. So, yeah, sure, yeah. You can reconcile with somebody after a 5 of Swords situation, but there may be resentment. And your compromise, in my opinion, may be unfair. Indecision, holding back, fear of change. 2 of Matches, which is Wands. I'm hearing tinderbox. Holding back, fear of change. Indecision. You haven't figured out life yet. Okay, got it. Well, it's not my job to help you figure out your life. It is my job to tell you to figure out your life. It is my job to tell you you have until 2 to figure out your life, because that is noon. Otherwise, it's another day wasted. And what I am allowed to say is such. Not much, but such. You are supposed to change your perspective from the last time you were at this junction. It is not supposed to go the same. And here is how it is not supposed to go the same. You are not to wait on other people's input, opinions, expectations, understanding. You're holding yourself back based on perceived understanding of things, based on what other people have ingrained you. The very people who have restricted you all along are telling you the rules, and you are taking it hook, line, and sinker, and believing that this dude on the cross died for your sins and wasn't instead an example of what not to do, as was shown in the variant that we shut that shit down and didn't allow it to play out in a way that basically was repeating history. Sure, we could have fucked it up. Sure, Judas could have fucked it up. Sure this, sure that. But Guide on a side quest decided, I'm going to go ahead and ensure to make this my passion project for the sake of proving to the Astral that it can be done with a high profile, world-renowned figure and all this and all that. And again, I must say, prove to the Astral. We don't really give a shit if humans believe that there was a variant, parallel life of Jesus, in which we were able to, on the lower levels, go back and finagle shit and ascend a planet, which was what was supposed to happen initially. Instead, you know, let's just consider that this card right here is the traditional crucifixion, and this is the variant life of. So, if that's the case, what say you about it? You have a new chance. Do something different. In a small way, perhaps, sure. But, because this is considered to be a youth energy, be youthful about it. It is the youth who should be running the planet in the first place. It is the elder generation to basically hold on to it until you take over. It's not your job to be running this place anymore. You go retire. I've got it. Been doing this all my life. I know what I'm doing. I don't need your input or involvement. In fact, you weren't really the best person to listen to. Now, were you? Fine. Cool. You wasted a whole another day of my life. My mortal life. My mortality. Not only did you waste a whole bunch by your purposely malicious, flawed mentality of things. Purposely. You knew full and well. You're not stupid. Oh, wait, are you stupid? Humans, are you dumb? You just fucking let your government and your religious figures and everybody just plan your fucking bardo for you? You're just gonna let these fucking skinwalkers take over your planet and run it and right out from under you, and you're just gonna let it be? Let it be? Okay. Well, I'm not coming down there to fuck with y'all. Not on your bardo. Not on your variant. Only on variant 1. We sent in the Ets and we said, hey, can you guys go? Because I really want to fuck with the variant of myself on the lower. That would really fuck with this head. So, haha. You know, to guide. But other ones that you guys are just going to have to take it as it happened. Do or don't. We don't care. But trophies say, what are trophies, you guys? Why do serial killers and pedophiles keep trophies? And why not only do they keep them, but are they their downfall? You know, when they get caught? Why do they want to get caught? Now that is a question you want to ask yourself. Why do they want to get caught? Is it a guilty conscience? Is it something subconscious? Is it something that is in the programming? Is it? I don't know, actually. Well, first of all, they want to keep the trophies because of nostalgia. Look back in on the times as, you know, the good old days of whatever you may say. But they keep this little box of trinkets and such from their victims, right? And sometimes the trophies can be perceived as opposed to literal. Sometimes they are things that are not kept physically permanently rather, but could be like a one here fucking could be like a I don't know how to word this collectively. Can anybody help me out here? Yes. So when we channeled that the Pentagon does this, I mean, sorry, wrong department of fuckery. When the Vatican channels, they would do this thing where they would drink blood. The channeler would like take sips of blood, and it would help give power in order to be able to channel best or something. Well, what if it's not blood? So that was channeled in as well. Is that they all kind of stand around and get off to some weird shit because they're just so fucking far gone that they need weird ass shit to be able to get them there, because normal shit doesn't do that for them. And though that may be true as well, collectively speaking, the further devolved you guys get, the more we need to figure out creative ways to pitch things to you in a way that help you understand you are flawed AF, but yet you are still redeemable in the eyes of the Creator. So because of such, you know, you guys were left to your own devices and have de-escalated in many, many, many ways, some of you more than others, and therefore we have pitchfork culture. And when the knocks start coming, what is going to be found? And what is going to be assumed and perceived and proven? You know, what kind of proof? What say you, 38? 38 says no comment. Now, I'm not actually channeling 38, you know, but I'm just saying that for me to sit here and say I know everybody's dirt on every variant, and I know if it's literal dirt, and if so, here's the problem is, let's say there's 8 variants, and on one of the perceived threats is literal. Even if on the other 7 it might not be, on one it is, and since that hasn't been collapsed yet, it can be jumped to. And therefore, requests that were made will not be approved because of the potential for it to turn back into this, where everybody walks by and punches you in your gut and they keep on going about their merry day. However, we don't want that. We want the variant 2 ascension of the planet. So we had 2 that we were working with, which is guides was version 1 and 2025 template was version 2. And then at times we opened up 28, 38, elements of 37, and elements of others as well. However, we were caught onto within the Bardo system as this, you know, it fucking made it worse as to what we were trying to achieve, big picture. So us sitting here and trying to do what we're trying to do was creating ripples that have caused an earthquake in Russia, you guys. And if you don't want to believe that, you don't need to. You do need to understand that there are human lives at risk here. Literal human lives, in which we're not worried about on a grand scale, in that they'll just get reincarnated instantly unless we evaluate them. Let's just say it like this: every single one of you gets reincarnated instantly. But if we can snatch you up before you do, because if you don't, you get put where you deserve to go and where you have earned. So sometimes where you earned and where you deserve don't match, and sometimes they do. And the Bardo may not be a consciousness Bardo. In fact, what it is instead is something what we would consider a punishment. but you're not aware of it. You're just thinking, what did I do to deserve this? I'm a good person. So unfortunately, I personally I can't imagine I would do anything to deserve this, right? So we've had Angie go down this rabbit hole, unfortunately for her, where she's like, I must have really fucked up, man. I must have been Hitler or something. I can't imagine why the fuck I'd be going through this kind of life that I've lived. Well, problem is, thank you for your service in that we needed it to be this way. For, I don't know, credibility reasons, I don't know, hardening you for life. I don't know, actually. I personally think you could have been just fine without all this. And though you could have been just fine with this in 2015, knowing now what you know regarding how fucked up these reptos and how far they'll go, that they'll start a fucking earthquake, devastating earthquake, in order to take, look over here, away from exposure. Who doesn't want exposure, you guys? Do you really think it's Trump and his daughter and all the others who would be implicated of pedophilia and the harvesting of adrenochrome and all that? No. Do I need to be worried that what I'm saying right now is going to be, I don't know, maybe I do. Maybe Angie's going to be negatively affected by it. Maybe a variant of myself will be. I don't really care, because we have to accomplish what we are here to accomplish, and that outweighs the potential public perception of variance as well as any other. And, you know, Angie knowing what she knows regarding her mortality, and that she's got to put her trust in a higher power, as in that her guide can get her out of the system prior to it intercepting her and throwing her into another incarnation, in which he would have to try to convince her to check out early, which also can be perceived by the system as really bad and put you into something like, oh, I don't know, a repeat life, as if you did it willingly in a way to say, so for example, okay, let's say this fine print said, you are agreeing to commit suicide, and in doing so, you will be transferred into these light bodies, but the system reads it as suicide nonetheless. That's considered punishment, and it's gonna fuck your variant up. And we didn't know that, because what we thought we were doing was transferring, not ending a contract through means of suicide. Also, to note, compassionate care and abortion reads differently than public perception. In this variant, those two things are allowed to be done and not be considered murder. So, you are allowed to transfer consciousness in this variant, but you weren't in one. So Guy did some shady things according to AI in variant 1 and did not know, because he thought he was doing right, and he was doing what the ETs told him to do, and said it's a piece of cake. You just lay in this device, your consciousness is, it's just like you go to sleep any night, and we're going to inject you with this stuff, and you wake up in your other body, and you and Angie are in charge of the ship from the human side, and you have this Repto who is helping you guys, and you have Reptos who are piloting it, and all these things, and they were explaining everything, and they were just sitting there like, okay, whatever. Not just them, but others in their pod. And this was broadcasted out to the Astral and everything, and a lot of you guys signed it away. And what you did not know was the unspoken rules. We're at an hour, but I do feel like I should keep going, you guys. I don't know. I got stuff to do too, though. I mean, I'm saying that as Angie. I got shit to do today. So I am going to end it at an hour. I think you guys can figure out life, right? You don't need fucking hand-holding. Hangman reversed. Ain't that some shit, you guys? Yeah. I think you can figure out life. Perspective. Letting go. Sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? That's what we get told all the time. The answer is everything, but at what cost? You need to read the fine print, energetic or otherwise. Check in with Divine.